Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Sideline Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, we have a jam-packed episode here for you today. We will be talking all about NBA playoff basketball. We will be talking about my top 5 playoff MVPs. Obviously, there's the regular season MVP. So I thought, why not show some love to the people who have been most impactful towards their team's playoff success this season. So that's on the agenda today, and we will also be talking about potential finals matchups, whether it's the Knicks or Thunder. I'll be talking about how I think that series would go, and the Knicks and Spurs, how I think that series would go. I think both series would be extremely entertaining, so I'll be giving a little bit of a deeper dive into that today. And then to cap off the episode, we will be talking about DC. Now, what about DC? There's not really a lot going on with DC right now. So I feel like now is the perfect time to talk about them. I feel like we need to shed some light on DC and what they have coming up. And I will be talking about some of the main characters that I'm looking forward to being in DC projects moving forward, and kind of like just an overview of DC's future, because I feel like that is something that I'm really looking forward to based on Superman and based on what I've seen in the trailers for Supergirl. I think that they have a really bright future, and we will be talking about that at the end of this episode. So please stick around and stay tuned for that. With all that being said, actually, before we start the episode, I want to clear 2 things out of the air. Yes, I'm not in the usual setup. This is not the typical setting for my episodes. Under certain conditions, these conditions being my brother having friends over. He is back from college, so he's obviously going to be festive. He's going to be fun. He has friends over, so that would obviously be too disruptive for my podcast. So I am recording in my basement. This is not the fanciest setup. I kind of just threw this laptop. That's another thing about this one-time setup, this temporary setup. I am recording on a laptop that is different than what I usually record on. I usually record on my iPad. Yes, I'm an iPad kid. I'm here. Yep. Yes, I record on my iPad, and I do not know where that is right now, so I'm recording on this laptop in this unique environment. So I hope that the audio cooperates. If there are loud noises coming from upstairs, I apologize. I will try my best to ignore it. Please try to do so as well. And the second thing I wanted to clear out of the air is I apologize for the extended break in between episodes. I just got released from school. I'm on summer break. So I've been filling that time with work, and I've been just trying to enjoy spending time with family. We're all on summer break right now. We're just enjoying it. So I apologize for the break, but I will be increasing the frequency of these episodes. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw my post about that. I will be I'll be trying to drop 2 episodes every week. I feel like summer's the perfect time to be dropping episodes. I feel like that is when you guys are most available to watch them. That is when I'm the most available to make them, and I just really love doing this, and I really want to become more serious about it. So just expect more from Sideline Report this summer and moving forward. So with those 2 things now cleared out of the way, let's get right into this podcast, and we'll be talking about my playoff MVPs to start this podcast. And I feel like there's been a lot of performers this year. I mean, granted, there's been a lot of playoff performers that have kind of not plateaued, but have kind of played the same that they were playing in the regular season. Granted, that's still really good. So those guys aren't on this list, and those guys aren't mentioned. However, I do have an honorable mention category with 3 names on this list. And I use the honorable mention title lightly just because I would consider these guys more like the X factors, right? The hidden gems, the guys who aren't going to get all the credit, but who have been extremely impactful for their teams, or were extremely impactful for their teams. And the first name I have on this list is CJ McCollum. Obviously, he was the reason that the Knicks, who are the Eastern Conference champions, lost 2 games and are not undefeated so far in the playoffs with those 2-game winners. So I feel like he was an honorable mention on this list. He was an X factor for the Hawks. He won them those games. I don't want to say single-handedly, because the entire team put in an effort to really keep that game close with the talented Knicks team. But he really sealed the deal and brought that game home for them. Brought those 2 games home for them, I apologize. So he's my first honorable mention, or X factor, on this list. The second person out of 3 names is Asar Thompson. I feel like, obviously, offensively, there's still a lot to develop from him, right? There's still a lot of room to grow. He can't really shoot the ball, right? He can't really create for himself. He's not the best facilitator. I have him on this list in this honorable mention category simply because of how impactful he is on defense and I don't want to say revolutionary, but how much of a game changer he was defensively, right? I mean, I feel like in that Cavs series alone, I feel like the sole reason they were in that series still, and the sole reason that they came back in that Pistons series and came back was because of Asar Thompson's tenacity, because of his hustle on defense. I think that he came in as an elite defender coming out of overtime elite, but as he's gotten older and as he's added some years under his belt, some years of experience, he has really been an elite defender and an All NBA defender. And I think that he was extremely impactful for the Pistons this year. He was the sole reason that they won some of those dogfight games because they had a defender like Asar Thompson when guys like Jalen Duren were taken out of games, when guys like Isaiah Stewart got in foul trouble early, who you rely on to be that enforcer. Asar Thompson kind of stepped up and was like a sub enforcer. He wasn't as obviously loud and as obnoxious with it as Isaiah Stewart, but he was a physical player and he was very impactful defensively for that team. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it started raining, so that is a little background noise for you guys. That is something else that will be accompanying this extremely unique episode. Anyways, Asar Thompson is the second name on this in this category simply because of his defense. Now, the third and final name in this category, I try not to be recency biased, but this series alone and the rest of the playoffs so far has kind of cemented Alex Caruso as this X factor, as this playoff veteran who you know is going to help your team win in the biggest moments, who is very versatile in his roles. I mean, in this Spurs series alone, we've seen him drop 30 in game one, right? Be that lead scorer when the Thunder really didn't have offense. They were really trying to figure out the Spurs, right? And Alex Caruso kind of stepped up and showed his experience and showed that he can deliver in those moments, which he has done throughout his career on every team that he has been on. But in this Spurs series alone and throughout the rest of this playoffs, not only offensively and versatility-wise, I think that defensively he is still that lead defensive guy. He is still that elite perimeter defender, and I think that he is that voice and that kind of defensive leader that you need on a young team like this Thunder team that runs deep, but most of that depth is all young guys. And with guys like him, guys like Lou Dort, guys like Hartenstein, you have those veteran voices, and Caruso is one of the loudest out of them all, and I think he's the most impactful out of them all. So that is why he's the third and final person in this category. Now, I was kind of speaking faster. I was losing my breath. Now that we have the honorable mentions out of the way, let's start off with number 5 in my playoff MVPs, and that is Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, I understand from a statistical perspective, Karl-Anthony Towns has, I don't want to say plateaued. He might have even, what's the word for it? Digressed in his statistical performance from the regular season in the playoffs. But I think he's an MVP simply because he, in some ways, I mean, obviously Jalen Brunson, who will be on this list, trust me, don't get worried, he will be on this list. In instances where Jalen Brunson's not that engine and he's not on fire and the ball's not in his hands or he's not even on the court, Karl-Anthony Towns has kind of been that lead guy in his playmaking, which is severely improved since the regular season and throughout his career. His facilitating, his defense, even at sometimes. He's been a very shaky interior defender in his career. He's been known for that, but he's really stepped it up in the playoffs, in the postseason. And just how in his shot selection, I don't want to. In the shots he takes, he's way more disciplined. That's the word I want to use. He's way more disciplined in the shots he takes. You can tell he's turning into that winning player, that player that's willing to do whatever it takes to win, instead of just pad his stats and get the performance that he wants. I feel like coming out of the draft, he kind of had that label on him as that generational prospect, that generational big man that's going to revolutionize the game, which, in my opinion, he has with his ability to stretch the floor at his size. But he's kind of shifted that narrative. He's now filled that role of that big man that you need to win championships. And he is a big man moving forward. I don't know exactly when his contract is up with the Knicks, but when that contract is up, like, I think a lot of teams are going to be looking at him now like, oh, this guy can help us win. Simply because in this postseason, he has been so versatile offensively. He has stepped up defensively. And he has kind of been that Robin that the Knicks need to come out of the East, which they did. And I think a lot of the Knicks' success is due to Cat and how versatile he's been and how willing he's been to give those responsibilities to Jalen Brunson, but also change his responsibilities and add new responsibilities to his tool belt. So he is coming in at number 5 on this list. Coming in at number 4, I have Tyrese Maxey. There's not a lot to talk about Tyrese Maxey, simply other than he was the Sixers engine. Like, he was everything the Sixers had. When you couldn't rely on Joel Embiid, because obviously when Joel Embiid was on the court for the Sixers, they looked like a completely different team. So I could understand you putting him in the spot instead of Maxey, but Maxey's reliability on top of his performance and how it kind of continued from the regular season into the playoffs, like, that's why he's on this list. He was so reliable for the Sixers in the postseason, a big reason why they won. Had some big performances, won the series against the Celtics, had some big performances in that series. And granted, they kind of got slaughtered in round 2 by the Knicks, but like, he kind of gave them everything they needed. He was their most valuable player. He was their most reliable player, and his performance in the playoffs and in the regular season has kind of entered his name into this top 20 category that his name hasn't been in any years past, in any year that he's been in the NBA. So Maxey, I think that this playoff performance was impactful not only for his team and in that first round series, but for his career. And I think that is the reason why he is number 4 on this list for my playoff MVPs. Coming in at number 3 is the regular season MVP, Shai Gilgeous. I apologize. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, I know regular season MVP, right? He should at least be top 2. But I think throughout the first 2 series of the playoffs, I think his performance and from a statistical standpoint, kind of like plateaued and kind of stayed the same from where he left off at in the regular season. Because they didn't really need him to do much in the Suns series and in the Lakers series, because those series were so one-sided. But like in this Spurs series, you've really seen what a elite defense and what the whistle not being blown as frequently does to this Thunder team that's been used to that whistle being blown pretty frequently in their favor in the past and in this postseason alone. He's kind of declined in that production. He's shooting sub 40% from 3 and from the field, which is very unlike Shai, and he's averaging around 25 points a game. But, like, I mean, he still has to be top 3 just because the Thunder have made it this far. They've been so dominant, and that is because the scouting report of the opposing team will always have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the top of it. That's how legendary and how elite of a player he is at this point. Regardless of how you feel about his flopping, I don't like it. No, you don't like it. No one likes it, right? But he has earned that right to draw those fouls with his scoring ability and with his ability to be so versatile in the offensive end from a scoring perspective. Being able to score on all 3 levels is what I mean by that. I've been using the word versatile a lot in these episodes. I'm going to try not to, because I don't use that word a lot. I want to be like I want to be like myself on this podcast, right? So like I got sidetracked, but I'm just going to shy away from using that word from now on. His ability to score on all 3 levels, he's top 3. Unfortunately, 2 players have surpassed him in this postseason for playoff MVPs, like for my ranking of playoff MVPs. But he is still in that top 3 because he's the regular season MVP, because he had a historic hit. What the fuck? He had a historic season. He's still got to be top 3, and he is in that 3rd spot. Now going to number 2, Jalen Brunson, and I think the reason is pretty self-explanatory. The Knicks are in the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years, and a lot of that is due to their star player, their superstar. Their, in my opinion, top 10 player, Jalen Brunson. Yeah, he's been phenomenal this postseason. I mean, obviously there was that game against Cleveland in Game 1, 38 points in that electric comeback, 22-point comeback. Like, like he's had those breakout performances, but I feel like his performances and his impact has been so consistent in the postseason that like I think that is what gives him this number 2 spot is that impact and that he will show up every single night and you could put him against any of the best players in the league, any of the best players coming out of the East, and I think any of the best players that will come out of the West. And I think that he like his performance and his ability to shine in those high pressure situations can put him. You can put him up against any team with this currently constructed Knicks roster, and he will have a chance to win any of those games just because he has that ability to elevate your ceiling and your floor. And like he's just been phenomenal this postseason. I think you just watch the film. A lot of it is hard to explain. You just have to watch it and watch the way he shreds defenses, the way he forces the defenses to adjust their game plan. Um, like a lot of it's just the eye test, and I think that Jalen Brunson has been so impactful, and he has driven this Knicks team to the NBA Finals, and he is a big reason why they're Eastern Conference champions and will potentially be NBA champions. We'll be talking about that in the next segment. But number 1 on this list, I feel like a lot of people's playoff MVPs at this point, it's Victor Wembanyama, right? Like, we've never seen a player like Victor Wembanyama before, and I hope everyone watching this knows we never will. There never will be another player coming through the pipeline like Victor Wembanyama, who is 7'5", who has the shot making ability and the ability to score at will like he does, not only from inside with his insane length, but with his shooting ability and his shot making ability from deep and from the mid range, which he's proven a lot in the Thunder series. Like, we're never going to see this again. And he is the sole reason that this Spurs Thunder series is going to Game 7. You've seen his impact when he's out of games. They've lost games. They lost those 2 games to the Timberwolves because Wemby wasn't available, because Wemby had bad performances. And I feel like even in the Trailblazers series, the game Wemby didn't play because of the concussion. Like, they lost. The game where he went out with the concussion, that's the same game. The game where he went out with the concussion, they lost because they didn't have him. He impacts that team. He helps that team win. I shouldn't say he helps that team win. He is the reason that team wins, and he is the reason that team, regardless, like, granted, I still think Dylan Harper's performance needs it's been a long day. I've worked all week. Please give me a break. Dylan Harper's performance needs to be highlighted. I think that Devin Vassell's performances need to be highlighted. I think that Keldon Johnson needs to be highlighted. I think that all these players need to be highlighted. Stephon Castle, obviously, I forgot his name. Like, all these players need to be highlighted, but without Wemby, they most likely wouldn't be in the playoffs. And that's just, it's just as simple as that. Like, Wembanyama is a generational player. I think he has the potential to go down as one of the greatest players we've ever seen, one of the greatest talents we've ever seen, if he's not already that, which is scary to think just because he's only 21 years old and he has so much room to grow. Like, the fact that he's already one of the greatest talents we've ever seen step on an NBA court at this age, it's scary for the rest of the league and for the future of the league. But it's an awe to watch, and I think that his performance this year has simply been like nothing we've ever seen before, and that is why he is number 1 on this list and he is my playoff MVP for the playoffs up to this point, with only 1 game left to the conference finals. So that is it for my playoff MVP section of the podcast. When we come back, we will be talking about the potential finals matchups and how I think each would go, with the Knicks and Thunder being a potential matchup and the Knicks and Spurs being a potential matchup. So when we come back, we will be talking about that. Stay tuned. And now, for the second NBA segment of the podcast, we will be talking about the potential matchups for the 2026 NBA Finals. It's either going to be the Knicks versus the Thunder or the Knicks versus the Spurs. Regardless of what direction it goes, I think it's going to be an extremely entertaining NBA Finals. I think that while the majority of NBA fans still believe that whatever team comes out of the West will win the NBA Finals. I think that the Knicks' performance as of late in the Eastern Conference Finals, and even in the second round, I think that they really have the momentum on their side, and I think that in the playoffs, that's really all it's about. It's really about who plays the best at the best time, and I think that the Knicks are playing some of the best basketball we've seen in a very long time as NBA fans. So how this segment will work, I will be talking about each potential matchup individually. I'll be talking about the Knicks Thunder matchup, giving my prediction and a brief description into why that is my prediction for that series if it happens, and the same thing for the Spurs. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I'm going to keep this pretty brief. I'm going to be pretty vague with my prediction and my description, just because I want to save that for a later episode when the matchup is actually set in stone. So yeah, let's just get right into it. First, we'll talk about the Knicks and the Thunder. Now, the one thing I think the Knicks have going for them in this postseason, and a big reason why they're playing so well, is because of their experience, right? And because of their experience together and their camaraderie, and it really shows on the court, right? Like, I think that, like, in the way they move their ball, in the way they move the ball, in the way they communicate on defense, in the way they switch so effortlessly, like, I just think they just play together. Like, they play like they all have the same goal, like they're a team, like they're a brotherhood. Like, I just think that, like, that's one thing that they have going for them, and a big part of that is experience. And when you match up against a team like the Thunder, like, experience doesn't really matter. Experience is kind of out of the window, and they proved that last year when they won the NBA Finals. Like, this team is so young, and they have that camaraderie that the Knicks have, except they've been the distance, and they've won the entire thing. They've won the entire postseason. And that is why, while I do think this series would go to 7 games, I would give it to the Thunder in 7 games, just because, like, the one thing the Knicks have an advantage over every other team in the playoffs is experience, is camaraderie, and they just don't have that over the Thunder. And I think that's the big I think that would show. Like, I think the Spurs were hot before they played Thunder, and I think that Game 1, going to double OT, while the Spurs did win, it was the first test. And even Game 2, when they lost, like, it was the first sign that, like, the Thunder are the cream of the crop when it comes to competitive teams in the NBA. Not only just the Western Conference in the NBA, entirely the reigning NBA champions. Like, you can't out-experience them. You can't, like, prove that you've been there more than them. Like, they won the NBA championship last year with the almost entirely same core, except Jared McCain. Like, you're not going to beat them with experience. You're not going to beat them with talent. Like, they're an extremely talented team. They're an extremely deep team. And I think that, like, if the next matchup against the Thunder, if I'm a Knicks fan, I'd much rather them play the Spurs, and I'll explain that later. But if I'm a Knicks fan, I'd be worried for a Thunder series, just because the one advantage you have over every other team, and you'd have over the Spurs, you don't have over the Thunder. And I don't even really want to say defense, but besides defense, you really don't have anything else over the Thunder. So, while it is competitive, and these are, like I said, it's going to 7 games, I would have the Thunder in 7 in a Thunder Knicks NBA Finals. So, that part is out of the way. Now we would be talking about the Knicks and Spurs, a potential Knicks and Spurs series, and all I have written down next to my Knicks and Spurs point is a question mark. Like, this series is a toss-up, right? Like, when you look at the Knicks series, when you look at the Knicks team, like I said, they have that experience, they have that camaraderie, they have the defense, they have the shooting as of late, they have the depth as of late with Landry Shamet and guys like Deuce McBride coming off the bench and being extremely impactful. But then I feel like that is counteracted with the Spurs having Victor Wembanyama, right? Like, we've seen that in the Thunder series, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can't score the same when Victor Wembanyama's in the paint. Like, and I think that would be the same. We'd see the same thing with Jalen Brunson. We'd see the same thing with Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, the Knicks wouldn't get the same shots, and that is why, like, I think those two things are extremely impactful towards winning a championship. So, like, I just don't know who I would have winning that series. Like, both these teams are extremely deep. They're extremely talented. Like, I don't know. I have a question mark just because, like, I don't know. And if that is the finals matchup, then we'll talk about it later, and I'll give a full prediction in a later episode. But, like, I just don't know. Those two teams are so evenly matched with their performances as of late, with how evenly balanced they are offensively and defensively with their talent, and Coaching Mike Brown, I mean, I would have given it to Mitch Johnson at the end of the regular season, but like, I don't know. Mike Brown's really proven that he's an elite coach, and he is a winning coach, and he has been extremely. He's been a culture shifter, to be honest, for this Knicks locker room, and I think that's really showed in the postseason. More specifically on the offensive side of the ball, just because while they are an extremely elite team defensively, like extremely elite, that doesn't even make sense. Anyways, please forget I said that. An elite team defensively, like Mike Brown brings an offensive mind to this team, and you've really seen that in some of the plays they're running. They're running these actions for Mikal Bridges that like he wasn't getting last year under Tom Thibodeau, like, and he's benefiting off of it. He's had multiple 20-point games, and he had multiple 20-point games in the Eastern Conference Finals. OG Anunoby's had some big games. Josh Hart had that big game in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I already talked about, Karl Anthony Towns in the playoff MVP segment, and Jalen Brunson. Like, I think a lot of their success and their freedom offensively and their ability to like just play their game and just play the way they want to and play the way that they think is best suited to win games. Like, that's all credited to Mike Brown, and I think that like him and Mitch Johnson is an elite coaching matchup. Like, that is just such a competitive series from every single standpoint. And I have a question mark. I just don't know how that series would go. So, like, only time will tell, I guess. Like, we don't know what the finals matchup is, like I said, but, like, regardless, it's going to be extremely entertaining, and I think it's going to go down in history as one of the most competitive NBA finals of all time, regardless of what direction it goes. So, yeah, that concludes the NBA portion of Sideline Report. When we come back, we will be talking about 3 things I want from the DC moving forward under James Gunn. Please stay tuned. And now, to conclude this episode of Sideline Report, we will be talking about DC and 3 things I want from DC moving forward under James Gunn. Now, I will say I haven't watched anything other than Superman. I did not watch Peacemaker. I did not watch Creature Commandos, although I did hear those were really good projects. The only thing I've watched of James Gunn's DC is Superman, and I was severely, that's not even the right word. I was extremely impressed, right? Like, I just think that you really saw the energy, the care for these characters that James Gunn brings to the big screen. Like, we saw it in Guardians of the Galaxy when he worked for Marvel. Like, now that he's with DC, you saw it in Superman, you saw it with the shots. Like, I think even in the character designs, like, it was such, like, he brought such life and such vibrant energy to DC that really lacked in all those other movies under Zack Snyder and under all those other people in the prior DCEU. So yeah, like, with the one product that I have watched, I'm really excited, and like, one of these bullet points might be alluded to in one of those other projects like Peacemaker, like Creature Commandos, but like, I haven't seen that. I'm going to see Supergirl when it comes out. I've been very in tune with the trailers, and those have really excited me, so I'm looking forward to that. But so if I allude to something that has already been like shown in one of those other projects, like, and like it's something that like I don't need to want because I've already done it, like, please let me know in the comments. Please let me know, like, please point me out on that. But I just haven't seen that, and the only thing I've seen is from Superman. Like, this is just the 3 things I want from DC moving forward. And the first thing on this bullet point is in Superman, and I really liked it, and that's part of the reason I liked it so much, is a connection of the universe through the characters, right? Like, a big reason I love Marvel so much, and a big reason why I fell in love with superheroes in general, is simply because, like, I love the idea of my favorite characters interacting with each other, right? Like, showing why I love them so much together, like, at the same time. Like, I just think that's such a cool idea, whether that's through fighting, whether that's through just, like, team-ups, whether that's just through, like, talking, like, dialogue. Like, I just, like, I love when even, like, different, like, they don't even have to be, like, the same archetype of a character, like, how different personalities of characters blend together and how they interact. Like, a really good example of that is, like, Tony Stark and, like, Steve Rogers. Like, 2 completely different personalities, but it worked so well, and I loved seeing them together, and they kept giving it to us, and it was the central part of so many Avengers movies and so many movies in general. Like, I think that's just so cool, and just, like, having them appear in multiple movies, which is a big, like, I guess, subsector of this point is just, hold on, I don't really like the angle. It's kind of like a subsector of this point, but like, I want like characters who also have solo projects to appear in other movies and other projects, right? Like, I want connections to happen in that way, where it's not just like a movie where they're supposed to be together. Supposed to be together. I apologize. Supposed to be together. Like, I want it to be in situations where like you don't expect them to be there, but they pop up because they're in the same city as that character, right? Like, I want it to be like ironic interactions like that really connects the universe and makes the audience feel like me and like all of the other superhero fans like across the internet and across the world, like that make us feel like it's a real universe and that we're a part of it, right? And that like, yeah, like this is their movie, but like other people are still living in this universe and really make it feel like lived in and feel like a universe. And I think like Superman did that with the Justice Gang, I think that's what they're called. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't rewatched it. I've only watched it one time in theaters. But the Justice Gang, like Green Lantern, like Guy Gardner, I should say. I should be specific because the Lantern show is coming out soon, which I hope to get access to because I really want to watch that. The trailers have really excited me. But but like just getting like Guy Gardner, like Hawk Girl, like what's his name? Stop. Oh my gosh. What a blank. He was like one of the best characters in Superman. Oh my gosh. Alright. Please let me know who I'm talking about in the comics. Comments. But yeah, like I think that like that's just one of the big things that I want moving forward in DC is just to feel like the universe is real and to feel like these characters are connected because they live in the same universe. Like, I just want it to feel like a real universe. So that is the first bullet point on this list. Going to number 2, I just want to fledge out Bat Family, right? Like, I think that we will, and from what I've seen from the reports and some of the rumors I've seen online, like, we will be getting a Bat Family. I don't know if it's in Brave and the Bold or if it will be like in future projects. But, like, I just want a Bat Family. I want Dick Grayson. I want a Nightwing. I want a Robin. I want a Dick Grayson's Robin or Nightwing, but like I don't really care who the Robin is, who the Nightwing is. I just want a Robin, I want a Nightwing, I want a Batman, I want like a Batgirl. Like I just want the whole family. Like I want them to fight together, and I want them to like appear in each other's projects. Like I said, with those connections through characters. Like I just want to flesh out Bat Family. I feel like that's one thing we haven't gotten on the big screen, and there's so much potential with them to do it under James Gunn. Just because he has so much history working with teams on the big screen, with superhero teams, to be specific, on the big screen, that, like, I just think it would be great. I think under James Gunn, a Bat Family would be amazing on the big screen. I think it would be a great example that the Bat Family can work on the big screen, and for a first-time appearance of a Bat Family in a movie to be under James Gunn, like, that excites me, and I'm very confident that if a Bat Family is put on the big screen, that it will be done very well under James Gunn. So that is the second point on this list. And the third and final point on this list and of the entire podcast is I just want original stories, right? Like, one of the things I dislike a lot about the lead up to superhero movies in general is just how smart the audience is, to the point where, like, if there's even a hint at a comic panel, if there's even a hint at a comic story in a trailer or anything, like, an audience can figure out, or someone on the internet can figure out, like, what the entire plot of the story is going to be, or not story, what the entire plot of the movie is going to be, just because it relates to the comic, and they can make those connections, and spoilers can come from that. And like, just like, I just want there to be original stories so that we don't have to worry about spoilers, and that when we show up to theaters and when we watch the trailers, like, this is a new story. These are characters that we know and love in new and improved stories that, like, we've never seen before, that they can get creative with, that James Gunn can get creative with, that any of the directors that are going to be directing any of these DC movies moving forward can get creative with. Like, we've seen it with the Clayface trailers. I'm really excited for that too. Like, I want them to get creative with these stories, and I want these movies to feel different for different characters. Like, if it's a happier character, I want it to be a more feel-good movie. But if it's a darker, more grittier character, I want to feel that. I want to feel the tension. Like, and I want that to be told through the stories, to where, like, it's unexpected, and we're on the edge of our seat regardless of what kind of like tone the movie has, and that like yeah, just that element of unexpected, like the element of surprise, and just the element of just not knowing what the resolution of the movie is going to be. I think that would not only be beneficial for the audience in terms of how they receive the movie, I think it will be beneficial for the box office. I think that more fans will show up knowing that they don't know what the story is going to be about, and that like what they're going to be watching on the big screen is something that's never been put out before, and that's never been put out in any form of DC media in history. So that's that is the third point on this list, and the final point of this podcast. So that will conclude episode 5 of Sights to Sideline Report. I thank you guys so much for watching this, and please stay tuned for when the next episode drops. I plan to be dropping it Tuesday. Tuesday is when the next episode is scheduled to drop as of right now. Don't take that with a grain of salt. I'm not confirming that. I'm not denying that. Stay tuned on my Instagram, though. I will post a confirmation of when the next episode will be coming out fairly shortly. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a blessed day. Please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.